legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Tillis. Senator Ossoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for convening this hearing. Thank you to our panel. Just want to remind everybody in the room and everyone tuned in that we're talking about folks who were brought here as children and have been part of our society for 20 years in many cases. Children who were brought to the United States through no fault of their own and who are actively contributing and law-abiding and, as in many cases, law enforcement officers themselves, neighbors and community members. And in Georgia, we host and are proud to be the home of more than 17,000 active DACA recipients, folks who were brought here as children through no fault of their own and have participated in this program established with bipartisan support. It's something that's surprised me about the way this hearing has gone so far, Mr. Chairman, is this has for so long been a common sense, bipartisan question of basic fairness. And I hope that we can return to that spirit as we approach this issue, because it is urgent, in my view, that we pass bipartisan legislation that establishes a path to citizenship for these Americans who were brought here as children and who otherwise follow the law. So I want to ask you, please, Ms. Soto Rodriguez. In Georgia, in recent months, many DACA recipients have seen substantially increased delays in the processing time for renewals. My office has received calls from DACA recipients as well as their employers. Work permits depend upon the renewal of DACA authorization. So from your perspective, what are the most profound impacts on the daily lives of DACA recipients when they're unable to timely renew their status?
I can tell you from my experience, because I just went through it just this past renewal. I did my renewal with the time that they tell us to do it. I was about to lose my job because my work permit was about to expire within a day. When the expiration came in, my driver's license was already expired, so I had no driver's license, and I had to talk to my chief from the police department to let him know what was the issue. So it affected me. All these delays, it's affected me, and also affecting all the DACAs as well.
How old were you when you were brought to the United States?
9 years old.
9 years old. You're now a patrol officer.
Correct.
Which department?
Blue Island Police Department.
And so the Blue Island Police Department, at a time when law enforcement organizations across the country are having a tough time hiring and retaining officers and deputies, stood potentially to lose a member of the force if your DACA renewal was not processed on time.
I mean, they were following just the rules, but they were able to help me too, because they knew that I was doing the right thing.
Sure.
By renewing my permit. It was just not my fault that my permit wasn't coming on time.
Ms. Soto Rodriguez, what would be you've heard, there's been some theatrics at this hearing, and welcome to the United States Senate, but as you've heard all of the partisan speeches today and all the usual political talking points that people associate with Congress and see on TV, as someone who has lived the journey you have and who has achieved amazing things, and you're defending your community, you're enforcing the law with the Blue Island Police Department, what would be your message to senators up here who have been talking about this, the importance of establishing some stability, some permanency, about a path to citizenship for folks who were brought here as children, have been here for 20 years, have participated in the DACA program? What's your message to these politicians today?
just like I mentioned in my story at the beginning, most of us come here because of our parents, and many of us are doing great things for the country, and especially because we don't see this country just as a country. Like, for me, this is my home. This is who I live, who I give my life for. So I wouldn't pick any other country. I know I'm Mexican. I know I wasn't born here, but this is my home. This is the only place I know since I was brought here.
Thank you, Ms. Soto Rodriguez. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hawley?